Namaskar. My name is Naveen Mittal. I am a faculty in Shri Ram College of Commerce, Delhi University. First of all, I hope that you all are fine and taking care of yourself as well as your family in this pandemic situation. And because of this pandemic, we are not meeting face to face, but through this online, at least our learning is continuing. Now, in this refresher course, I will take some topics of taxation. Within the taxation topic, so what I will discuss with you is the relevant ones which are currently relevant. Because as you know, that tax is that topic which changes rapidly. On daily basis, we can be having notifications of the government. Yearly through Finance Act changes happen. So many times without Finance Act also through ordinances, Taxation Amendment Acts also the changes happens. So it's a topic which requires careful reading and analysis of each and every notification as well as rules and regulations. So the topics which are relevant for discussion are, and which I will discuss with you are, first is optional taxation scheme. If you are aware about this scheme, for the current year when we will file our return of income, that means for the year 2020-2021, 1st April 20 to 31st March 21, for this year now we have to file our return of income. So for this year we have, for the first time, this section has been introduced and we have a new optional taxation scheme where the tax rates are less as compared to our normal tax rates. So this will be my first topic of discussion with all of you. My second topic of discussion will be about new income tax portal of compliances of returns, return filing, downloading statements, replying, clearing outstanding demands, etc. So if you are aware about this, then my earlier, not my, but the Government of India's earlier website, Income Tax India e-filing.gov.in, has been discontinued, and now we have new website, incometax.gov.in. Now all our return filing and compliances will happen through this portal. So I will discuss briefly about this and I will show you, after login through a PAN number, I will show you that how this portal will proceed, or how you can compute your taxes as well as how you can furnish your returns through this portal. So these two will be the broad discussion, and in the third portion of my lectures, I will discuss some miscellaneous relevant points. The relevant points, you can say, since we all are in this profession, and I'm expecting that most of us are in service. In fact, almost all of us will be in service, of course. So for us, the provisions which are relevant for a salaried craftsperson, that I will discuss. Some of these are benefits of investing in some schemes, how tax saving is possible through investment in those schemes. I will discuss with you the relevance of furnishing correct return of income. And I will tell you something about this point also, that when you furnish wrong return of income, after a due date, it is not so easy to rectify that return. If you have submitted, then you have submitted, and in case you have not shown some correct incomes, whether intentionally or unintentionally, then changes cannot happen easily. So you have to remember that you submit the correct particulars and within the due course of time. I will discuss something about faceless assessment also, that from now onwards, now we have faceless assessment, and There is no need for us to visit the income tax department. Everything will happen through online replies. And there are some other miscellaneous concepts also, like long-term capital gain of section 112A. So those who are dealing in share market, for those people, this is relevant. I will tell you the new SFTs which have been added, statement of financial transactions. Now, dividend income, which earlier most of the people were not showing, now they have to show that. Not because that it has become taxable now, but because it will be reflected in your Form 26AS when you will download it. Because now the compliance of submitting that information of dividend, for example, any company, Infosys, let's say an example of Infosys, that if Infosys gives some dividend to a shareholder, then Infosys will show that information to the tax department, will provide that information to the tax department. For example, the dividend received by one share, for example, dividend received by me is only 2,000 rupees. That will be reflected in my Form 26AS, and I have to show that. So earlier, people were not showing. The reason was, of course, that dividend earlier was exempt in the hands of shareholders, but now it's not. So those topics I will discuss in miscellaneous provision. I will discuss a very brief point on GST also. Being in commerce and management, at least, we all must be aware that when we purchase something, whatever bill or tax invoice we receive, how CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST, these have been applied. So I will give you simply a very brief idea about how these taxes are imposed. So that will be the overall discussion. So I simply gave you an idea that what I will discuss with you in my lectures. And I hope that you will really get new idea or refreshing points of taxation. It's my expectation. Now rest, you have to see whether I was in a position to deliver some new points or new ideas to you or not. Now, since the topic of discussion is not purely theoretical, so I need to take the help of my pen tablet. So I will start sharing my screen now, and then I will discuss with you the points. So let me share my pen tablet with you. Okay, so let us start discussing my first topic of discussion, as I have discussed with you, and that is optional taxation scheme. So that will be my first topic of discussion. Optional taxation scheme. Now there is a section 115 BAC of the Income Tax Act. So I am discussing right now in my initial discussion only Income Tax Act 1961, that I am discussing. 115 BAC of the Income Tax Act 1961. First time this section has been made applicable in the financial year 2020-21. And all of us will file the return of income of this financial year 2020-21, because this period is from 1st April 2020 till 31st March 21. Now, we have not yet received the Form 16 from our employers. I hope you all are still waiting for your Form 16 from your employer, because the due date of providing Form 16 because of this COVID-19 has also been extended by the tax department. So you must expect to receive your Form 16 latest by 15th July. So by 15th July, you will receive your Form 16. And after this, of course, you will start filing your return of income. So you have around 1 more month, and you will get this Form 16 for your employer. Then only you can file the return of income. Now, this optional taxation scheme is relevant for us. It is for individuals and Hindu undivided families. So I'm not going to discuss HUF provision also. I'm discussing with you only individual concept. This scheme is applicable for all of us. Now, what is the benefit of this scheme and what is the loss of this scheme also? Just because it is showing less tax, it doesn't mean that it is beneficial. So whether you have to opt it or not, you have to carefully consider some points which I will discuss with you. Now, this is the comparison, and it will help you in deciding whether you should opt it or not. So this is this optional taxation scheme, which has been implemented first time this year. And this is my existing scheme. Now, in the existing scheme, if you remember, individuals are divided in 3 categories. Some are of more than 80 years of age. Some are more than 60, but less than 80 years of age. And some are less than 60. Since we are doing refresher, so I'm expecting that most of us are less than 60 years of age. Now, so we have different tax rates. I'm taking the case of only this person who is less than 60. If you remember the current tax rates, current means when I'm using the word current, I will discuss with you the provisions of 2020-21 because those are relevant. I will discuss with you the provisions of 2020-21 because this year is relevant for us because all of us have to file the return of income of this year. Current means 2020. So an individual whose age is less than 60 and a resident, for example, now this person's tax slab, if you remember, is that up to 2 lakh rupees 50,000 yearly income, there is no tax on this person. But from 2 lakh 50,001 till 5 lakh yearly income, the tax rate is 5%. From 5 lakh till 10 lakh rupees income, the tax rate is 20%. And above 10 lakh rupees, the tax rate is 30%. This is the tax rate. On the basis of this, we will pay the tax when we will furnish our return of income. But in the optional taxation scheme, the tax rates are different. Under this scheme, which is mentioned in section 115 BAC of the Income Tax Act, the tax rate for individual, because in this category, it does not matter what is your age. So age does not matter. The rate is same. So whether you are more than 80, 60 to 80 or less than 60, age doesn't matter. Age remains same. Tax rate remains same irrespective of the age. Now, what is the tax slab here? Now here up to 2 lakh 50, nil. But then the changes starts. Two lakh 50,000 till 5 lakh. Here also 5%. And now see what changes will happen. 5 lakh 1 to 7 lakh 50. This is how they will increase the tax rate. This rate is 10%. So additional 5% for every additional 2 lakh 50. This is the simple concept. 7 lakh 51 to 10 lakh rupees. 15%. 10 lakh rupees to somewhere I'm using rupee symbol, somewhere I'm not. So it's only because we have less time and I want to cover some relevant points with you. 20%, 12,50,001 rupee till 15 lakh rupees. 25% and above 15 lakh, the tax rate is 30%. This is the optional taxation scheme. And if you carefully notice, after 15 lakh, I can say it does not matter which scheme you adopt, your tax rate remains at 30%. Because in the new scheme, over and above 15 lakh will impose a tax of 30%. And in the existing scheme, over and above 10 lakh will impose a tax of 30%. So I can say, in the existing scheme, I can say if it is above 10 lakh, then of course, I can also say that above 15 lakh is also 30%. Because I simply want to make a comparison. That is why I have added this new point. Now, can I say that over and above 15%, it does not matter what scheme you adopt, tax rates remain same. So I can also say one more thing, that whatever decision or whatever tax saving is happening, that is happening only till 15 lakh rupees. Because beyond 15, everything is same, tax rate is same. So when you compute the tax, when you will compute the tax till 15 lakh under existing scheme and in new scheme, the point is that when you will compute the tax of this individual whose age is less than 60 till 15 lakh rupees income, his or her tax rate, tax will be around 2,62,500. I need to take the help of calculator because the subject is such that I need to take the help of calculator. Yes, 262,500. And when for any individual in new scheme till rupees 15 lakh tax, 15 lakh income, tax will come out to be around rupees 1,87,500. When you will compute it, because I'm not computing, I'm not showing the calculation part. So this is the change, or you can say saving, which will happen. But the saving is only till 15 lakh rupees. Beyond 15 lakh, I'm not making any comparison because both are same. Both will give the same tax. Till 15 lakh, how much is this saving if I go for new scheme? There will be saving in tax of rupees. So when you deduct it, the difference will be around 75,000. This is the saving in tax. This is the saving in tax. So this is the saving. Till 15 lakh rupees, if you make a comparison between old scheme and new scheme, or not old, in fact, you can say current scheme and new scheme or optional scheme, then there will be saving of tax amount of 75, which is a good saving. As far as all of us are concerned, salaried class is concerned, 75,000 yearly saving is a good amount. But you don't get this saving so easily, because when you opt for this optional taxation scheme, so many losses or compromises you have to make as far as your exemptions and deductions are concerned. So the positive point is that there is a saving of 75. So this is positive point. But there are so many negative points also. So are you willing to forego so many exemptions and savings? Exemptions and benefits to save 75, that you have to analyze yourself. So what is the loss, or what are the negative points of this scheme? So what are the negative points of this optional tax scheme? And when you see the negative points, I'm sure that most of us will not even think of this scheme. So it's my personal opinion that I should not prefer, or in fact, most of us will not prefer this scheme at all. So do you know what losses and exemptions, benefits, etc. you have to forego? So these are the following exemptions which will not be available to you. These will be the following deductions which will not be available to you. These are the following benefits which are not available to you. So when you are not giving me so many benefits, why will I go for this scheme? So let me discuss with you my first point of salary. In salary, what you will not get? The main thing. Currently in salary, everyone gets a standard deduction of 50,000. If you opt for this scheme, you will not get it. So this is the first loss. Without doing anything, just by opting for this scheme, you will lose 50,000 benefit of standard deduction. Similarly, you will not get the benefit of exemption of some common allowances. If you remember, children education allowance. You will not get any benefit of children education allowance exemption. If you remember, this exemption is rupees 100 per month per child. You will not get this exemption. You will not get any exemption of hostel expenditure allowance. Which is rupees 300 per month per child. I'm not writing the amount exempted. The most common exemption which you will forego is house rent allowance exemption. So many people live on rent. Whatever rent they are paying, if they are salaried class and they are receiving house rent allowance from the employer, they get some benefit. But if you opt for this scheme, you will not get any benefit of house rent allowance. So this is also a loss. In fact, it is a big loss. So what benefit you get? I'm discussing only one benefit, which is common, because otherwise the detail will be very bulky and it's not a taxation lecture something, not the sophisticated taxation lecture. So what the points which I'm discussing is only assuming that we all are in service faculty members. And let me discuss with you, and I want to discuss with you only those relevant points which are used by you in your day-to-day financial transactions. So one benefit will be available under this scheme, will continue to be available under this optional taxation scheme, and that benefit is transport allowance exemption for differently abled friends of mine. So those employees or those individuals who are differently abled, they will continue to get transport allowance exemption. This is the relevant point, that even if they opt for this scheme, they will continue to get this transport allowance exemption. It is still continuing under optional taxation scheme. It has not withdrawn. But in the salary, these points are not available. 50,000 and house rent allowance exemption, these two are prominent, which gives you a good handsome amount of exemption, but these will be withdrawn. Transport allowance exemption available to differently abled friends, that is not available. So this is one loss. So you will think carefully before opting for this optional taxation scheme, because you have to forego this. Now, another benefit which will not be allowed is in house property. Most of us have taken accommodation by loan. And if you remember, whatever interest we pay on our capital which we have borrowed, so whatever interest we are paying till rupees 2 lakh per year, till rupees 2 lakh per year, this benefit is also allowed under existing scheme, but it will not be allowed under optional taxation scheme. So currently, if you have taken a housing loan, whatever interest you are paying, so yearly you are not only paying interest, you are paying principal also. So whatever principal you are paying, for that you are claiming the deduction under section 80C. I don't know whether you are aware of it or not, but you are availing it. Maybe you don't know it, but you are availing it, because when you are submitting your interest certificate to the employer, in that interest certificate which you have taken from the bank or institution from where you have taken the housing loan, principal's amount is also written. Amount of principal which you have paid in that 1 year is also written. That principal amount is also allowed as deduction under section 80C. Interest amount is allowed as deduction under section 24 clause B of the Income Tax Act. So this benefit, which right now you must be getting, it will not be allowed. So there is a loss of this interest also. Now, what three main benefits you have foregone because of opting for this scheme? Standard deduction of 50,000 while computing salary income. House rent allowance exemption, and this interest expenditure on your housing loan. These will not be allowed. There are other losses in PGBP head also, which I'm not discussing because I'm discussing only relevant points. So profits and gains from business and profession. In this head also, there will be some expenses which will not be allowed to you as exemption or deduction. In income from other sources, if someone is getting family pension, after the death of the employee, the pension is given to the family members. If someone is getting family pension, exemption of 15,000 rupees is available, which will not be allowed if you opt for optional taxation scheme. This is also a loss. Similarly, other losses, clubbing of income. Now, if you remember the clubbing of income of minor child, minor child's income, if not from his or her special talent, etc., is clubbed in your hands, in the hands of the parents. It is clubbed. And that parent has to include that income in his or her hands. I don't know whether you are showing it or not, but because of upgradation or because of technological advancements in the softwares of Income Tax Department, it's my suggestion, disclose the incomes to the tax department, because now if you do not show that income, the person who is giving the income has to show that income to the tax department if that person is covered under the specific entity who has to disclose the income. Now, gradually what will happen in the coming years is all the incomes which will be given or earned by any person, those will be reflected in their income statement in their Form 26-AS, which I will discuss with you. But I would like to tell you that what exemption you will also forego. When income of minor child is clubbed, for example, if my son is Mr. X and in his bank account, suppose some interest of 1800 rupees has come. Suppose interest of 1800 rupees has come in my son's bank account. And if that amount has been deposited by me as a father in my son's bank account, then I'm supposed to include this income in my hands. I have to include this income in my hands. It is not my son's income. It has to be clubbed in the income of parents. Suppose as a father, I have to include this income as my income. Since it is the income of minor child, exemption of 1500 rupees is by default allowed. Exemption of 1500 rupees is allowed, and I'm supposed to include only 300. But this 1500 exemption will be withdrawn if I opt for optional taxation scheme. It will be withdrawn. It will not be allowed to me. This is a loss. Not only this, if you remember the provisions of set-off or carry forward and set-off of losses, because if in 1 year I have negative income, I can carry it forward to the next year so that in the next year I can adjust it. So here also, in the house property head, within house property, I can be having different properties. My some properties can be given on rent, or my some properties can be self-occupied. So whatever loss is there, whatever loss, whether it is let out property or self-occupied, whatever loss is there under the head house property, whatever is the loss under the head house property. Suppose in my let out property, I have a negative income of 50,000. In self-occupied property, I have a negative income of, for example, 80,000. Why it can be negative? Because my interest expenditure can be more than my income. It can be negative. So my total income of house property head becomes 130. I cannot adjust it against other income. If I opt for optional taxation scheme, against other incomes, adjustment is not allowed. Other income, adjustment is not allowed. This is another loss of opting for this optional taxation scheme. Not allowed. So you all must be thinking that why then any person will opt for optional taxation scheme? Yes. So that scheme, in my opinion, I don't think that that scheme will be highly beneficial for everyone. It might be beneficial for some people who are earning very less income and who are not into the process of taking housing loan or doing some saving. Otherwise, in reality, I'm not expecting personally any great tax saving in the hands of the individual, because you have to forego so many benefits. So why you will forego so many benefits to just get a tax saving of 75? Because if you go for these benefits, your saving will be more than 75,000, which you are getting by opting for optional taxation. So these are some of the benefits which you will not get. And most commonly, do you know what benefits you will not get? You will not get any deduction under Section 80. No deduction is allowed to you, which every salaried employee must be claiming. The most common deduction is 80C, which you are getting because of PPF contributions, your life insurance policy premiums, tuition fees of your 2 children, etc. You will not get this. You must have taken medical insurance premium For this, you must be getting 80D deduction. You will not get it. So there are so many deductions of 80. I'm discussing only relevant ones like 80 CCD 1 and 1B, where all those employees who are in new pension scheme, they will not get their deduction. This is also another loss. And the other relevant are 80G. Only relevant ones I'm discussing, donations. Like in PM cares or when any flood, etc. comes in any state, normally we donate. In our university, normally we donate some amount towards these funds. So you don't get those deductions. If you are author, you must be writing some books. And you are getting a deduction of up to 3 lakh rupees per year. 80 QQB, you will not get this deduction. These deductions are not allowed under new scheme. If you are a differently abled person, then you must be getting a deduction under 80U up to 1,25,000 in fact. You will not get these deductions. So why will anyone opt for optional taxation scheme? At least in our category, if you are in teaching and in permanent appointment, then I'm not expecting more than 5% of the total faculty who will opt for this scheme. In fact, 5% is more because it results in total loss, no benefit. But of course, in reality, it depends upon case to case. So these are so many losses of opting for this optional taxation scheme. So what is the standard way to determine the break-even point? Because I have told you so many negatives of this scheme. And the only positive was that there is a tax saving of 75. So first of all, how do you decide which option is better? The exact way is case to case basis. There is no standard way to tell that in this case, or you simply tell me this figure, I will tell you the answer which option is better. It's not possible. You have to study case to case. You have to check what are the savings, investments, etc. Then you can decide this is the best way. But the rough idea I can give. What is the rough idea? Simple. So if I'm assuming that, if my assumption is that if my taxable income, if assumption is that taxable income is in higher slab, is in 30% slab. So my tax saving opting because of new scheme, my tax saving because of opting for new scheme is 75. If you remember, I told you this, I showed you this comparison that by opting for new scheme, the tax saving is 75. So if you apply simple mathematics, you can say that if tax rate is 30%, so I can say roughly it will give you 2,50,000. Now, if this is the break-even point, rough break-even point, only give you an idea. If your exemptions, deductions, your savings, etc., if these are more than 2,50,000, then there are high chances that existing scheme is better. Don't go for optional tax. Because if your deductions and savings exceeds 250, then they will give you more tax saving if you remain in existing scheme, because the maximum tax saved can be 75,000. And assuming 30% tax rate, 250 is the rough break-even point. And if your exemption deductions are less than 250, then there are chances that new scheme is better. I'm not saying 100%. It gives you a rough idea. In reality, you have to check on case-to-case basis. So this is about optional taxation scheme and only some points. So I wanted to give you a brief idea, because currently when you file your return of income, when you will furnish your return of income of 2021-22 in your ITR, this question will be asked from you that are you opting for optional taxation scheme under section 115 BAC? So you have to give the answer yes or no. So this discussion, it's my expectation that it will help you in taking a decision whether you want to opt for optional taxation scheme or not. So related to this optional taxation scheme, some relevant points. First point, the question arises, is it permanent option or yearly option? That the question is whether I have to opt it on yearly basis or permanently. So in that case, if you are having business income, if you are having business or professional income, if you are having business or professional income, and second, you are not having business or professional income. If you are not having business or professional income, so the rules are different. In case you are not having any PGBP head income, then this option is exercised on yearly basis. That means if this year 2020-21 I have opted for this scheme, it's my choice. In next year I might not opt. Next to next year I can again think of opting. So on yearly basis you can take a decision. On yearly basis I can decide whether I will opt or not. So this is a good point. But if you are having business income, then yearly option is not available. If you have decided that in current year you will opt for this scheme, it will be applicable for subsequent year also. Yearly change is not allowed. Yearly change is not allowed. And if you change it in any year, then it is changed permanently. Then optional scheme cannot be exercised. So in case you are a salaried person or you are not having business income, on yearly basis you take a decision. But if you are a business person, then if you have opted for this scheme, you have to remain in this scheme. Only one time withdrawal is allowed. And if any year you withdraw in this scheme, then you can never opt for this scheme till you continue to earn business income. That's it. It might look a little bit complicated, so you can skip this point because most of us are not earning business or professional income, because it comes with different rules. The rule is that in case of business income, if once you opted, you have to continue opt for this scheme compulsory in the subsequent years also. And if you have withdrawn in any year, then you can never opt for this scheme till you are continuing earning business income. This is one point which you should remember. Second relevant point of this optional taxation scheme. Second point is time limit. What is the last date by which you have to opt for this scheme? What is the last date? Now, I told you that previous year 2021 is the first year when you have this option available. And what is the last date of filing return of income of this year? I hope you must be remembering. Every year it is 31st July. Every year it is always 31st July by default for our cases. Otherwise, for individuals, we have different categories. But for a normal individual having no special audited accounts, etc., the last date is 31st July 2021. So do you know what is the time limit? Last 31st July. If you do not furnish your return of income till 31st July, then you cannot opt for this scheme. So this is the time limit to opt. You have to take a decision by 31st July whether you want to opt for this scheme or not. After this date, you cannot decide. Then this option will not be available. But because of COVID-19, this date has been extended to 30th September. because of COVID-19, this date has been extended to 30th September by default. And that is why by default, the time limit for you has also been extended to 30th September, but take it as exceptional case. Because the date of 31st July has been extended only because of COVID situation till 30th September. That is why time limit to exercise the option is also extended till 30th September, but it will not remain the case in every year. Whatever is the due date of filing return of income, you have to file by that date, exercise the option. Third point, now, if you have exercised, your employers must have asked in the year 2021, somewhere around in the month of October or November 20, your employers must have asked to submit the investment details for the purpose of TDS. And you must have submitted that detail also. It's possible that in that detail, you have given the option, because your employer must have asked you whether you will avail this optional scheme or not. And maybe if you have said yes, that yes, you will avail optional scheme. But now if you think that you will not avail it, then there is no problem. When you file the return of income, you simply click no. So whatever you have told to the employer, it does not mean that you are supposed to opt for this scheme. If to your employer you have said that I will not opt, if you want to opt, you can opt it. If to the employer, if you have said that I will opt, but now if you don't want to opt it, you can show no option in filing return of income. So that has no relationship. So this is the next point. And that's all. So whatever points I have discussed in this optional taxation scheme, those are sufficient for you to take a decision in this year whether you should opt for composition tax, this optional taxation scheme or not. Section 115 BAC deals with it, and that's all. So this is my first discussion. I hope that if you have listened to this lecture of mine carefully, at least some points of optional taxation scheme will get clear, and you would be in a better position to take a decision. Now, in the next lecture, let me discuss with you the new income tax return filing portal and the compliances. So that's all for this lecture. Goodbye.